Hi class, today we're going to talk about chord scales in minor keys. And so, to review, first of all, when we talked about major keys, we looked at diatonic chords first and secondary dominants. And on diatonic chords, we said, listen, if you're in the key of C major, and we have the 7 chords of C major, the 1 major 7, the 2 minor 7, 3 minor 7, 4 major 7, 5 dominant, 6 minor 7, and 7 minor 7 flat 5, that when you play any of those chords, if we're looking for available tensions, that means non-dissonant 9s, 11s, and 13s, that they have to be a whole step above the preceding chord tone, a major ninth, and that they have to be diatonic first. So diatonic and then a whole step above, and that those are our available tensions, and they're all forms of that key, of that C major. C major. So we're playing C major, but we're starting on a 2, or we're starting on 3, or we're starting on 4. And that all these scales, these chord scales we're talking about for diatonic chords, they have the same names as the Greek modes. So we use Ionian. But it's more than just Ionian, and it's knowing that it's Ionian and that we have scale degree 4 is not an available tension. But we do have tension 9, and we do have tension 13. So this tells us both in voicing how we can use the 9s, 11s, and 13s, and that we should avoid 11 on a 1 chord, and that also in terms of melody, what notes are going to be good, that we can use 9s and 13s on a 1 major 7 chord. All major scales are made the same, so we can talk about what chord scale we use for each Roman numeral. Well, in minor, we have much the same thing. When we think first about just the basic minor Aeolian scale, this is equivalent to the major scale, but starting on the 6th degree. It is in itself one of the Greek modes. And so when we think about chords that come from minor, that what we're going to do is we see that these are exactly the same chords that we had in the major scale, but they're just starting on the 6th degree. So let's take a look here at this document. We take a look and we see the 7 chords in C major, and then we see the 7 chords in A minor. And they are the same chords, they just start on A instead of starting on C. And so the 6 minor 7 chord is now the 1 minor 7, and so on and so forth. So as we go up the scale with the same quality chords and exactly the same, these are relative major and minor. So they have the exact same chords, and therefore the tensions that are going to be available for these chords are exactly the same as their counterpart in the major key, so that A minor in A minor has the same tensions as A minor in C major. So we think about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A is the A Aeolian scale, and then we think about tension 9, and that's a whole step above A, and so that's a good note. And we think about tension 11, that's D, that's a whole step above C, and that's a good note. But we think about scale degree F, scale degree flat 6 is not a good note. So that we have the Aeolian scale in major on the 6th degree has tension 9 and 11, and harmonic avoid note, S flat 6, well, it's the same thing in Aeolian minor. So for each one of these, we're going to use the exact same ones. We'll use Aeolian for the 1 minor 7, Locrian for the 2 minor 7, Ionian for the flat 3 major 7, we'll use Dorian for the 4 minor 7, we'll use Phrygian for the 5 minor 7, for the flat 6, we're going to use Lydian, and for the flat 7, which comes out to be dominant 7, we're going to use Mixolydian. All right, so that's pretty cool for that. But we also know that there's more than one type of minor scale. There's more than one type of minor scale, so we have to take into account for all that. I'm going to show you this chart first. Here's the chord scales for the natural minor keys, and we see all the tensions are exactly the same for Aeolian, tension 9 and 11, and Aeolian over here, tension 9 and 11. These all end up being the same. This ends up being how it spills out on this chart, and I'll make this available to you. But we know also that in minor, we have the ability actually to raise and lower the 7th and 6th degree of the scale. And we have two other forms of minor. One is called melodic minor and one's called harmonic minor. In melodic minor, we have raised 6th and 7th, and harmonic minor, we have the lowered 6th and the raised 7th. Natural minor has both lowered 6th and lowered 7th. So these notes between 5 and the octave, they vary a lot. And in any one tune, it's usually not just in natural minor or just in harmonic minor or just in melodic minor. It's in all of them. And so we have what's really, the text calls a composite minor. I want to show you that here. Here's the E composite minor. It is E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. Well, my voice isn't so great today. Anyhow, so we have both the lowered and raised sixth and the lowered and raised seventh. And this is what we can choose from, this having this sort of chromatic ending here. We call this the composite minor. And this allows us to take the notes that are varying and in each one of the scales. Here we have E melodic minor with C sharp and D sharp, E harmonic minor with the C and the D sharp, and E natural minor with C and D. And when we combine all three of these scales together, this is what we end up getting, is this minor scale that's called composite minor. And it's what most of our tunes come from. And it means that we have a whole variety of different kinds of chords. Most tunes draw largely from Dorian minor or from Aeolian minor, but we do have chords that come out of both harmonic and melodic minor. Here I'll show you in C minor, let's say, all three sets of minor scales in C minor and all the Roman numerals that come out of them. So that we see in natural or Aeolian minor, 1 minor 7, 2 minor 7 flat 5, flat 3 major 7, 4 minor 7, 5 minor 7, flat 6 major 7, flat 7 7. Harmonic minor raises the 7th degree. So every one of these chords is going to change. So we have a 1 minor major 7. So when we see this chord, which is a really great chord, this minor major 7, then we can use harmonic minor for that scale. Harmonic minor, so that we make sure that all the chord tones are part of our scale and an active part of the chord scale. We have a 2 minor 7 flat 5 stays the same. We still use Locrian on this. The flat 3 augmented major 7, this is not a frequently used chord, but if we do, then we'll know that we're going to use a scale that's going to go E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, C, D, E flat. So each one of these, we can build chord scales off each one of these. Again, the 4 minor, the flat 6 major 7, they remain the same. We'll talk more about the diminished chord scale. We tend to use different things for that. In melodic minor, we have the raised 6th and the raised 7th. And so we get certain notes, we get certain chords, like a minor 6. So we might use a melodic minor to have that 6th scale degree. Or we might use Dorian that also has that 6th scale degree. So those are the common chords that we see out of minor and the chord scales that we're going to use. If we look at the text and see how they talk about each one of these, that they first of all, there's mention on the second page of the text about that the same rules apply for minor keys as do for major. If it's a diatonic chord, and now we're expanding the role of diatonic to include accidentals in minor so that we can incorporate both melodic minor and harmonic minor. We're still going to use the same rule. We're going to use the fact that a whole step away from a chord tone is tension that we want to use, and a half step is one that we want to avoid. And then there's mention about, that 1 minor 6 is commonly Dorian, although we can use melodic minor. We have more choices in minor than we do in major. There's more chords. So here's the choices. And in 1 minor 7, we can use Aeolian. Again, so this is the sort of go-to. But if we use Dorian, we do get an extra pitch by having Dorian. Then we can have the raised 6th degree. So Dorian is a form of a minor scale, and we can use that. For the minor major 7, 1 minor major 7, we can use harmonic minor or melodic minor. They both have that. And again, the question is, do we want that raised 6th degree to be an available tension or not? And you can go through for each one of these and see the different chords that we use. The 2 minor 7, we use Phrygian. 2 minor 7 flat 5, we use Locrian. All minor 7 flat 5s, we use Locrian. The flat 3 major 7, well, this is the same as our relative major, so we're going to use Ionian. So that's the typical one we use. 4 minor 7, end up using Dorian. If we have 4 dominant 7, because we have the raised 6, we use a scale called the Lydian flat 7. That's pretty common. Or we could use Mixolydian. There's a couple different choices that we can use for 4 7 here. Again, all the chord tones will be part of the chord scale, the 1, 3, 5, and the flat 7. And then tension 9, G is always going to be in this key. Then the question is, do we want a B natural in there so that we have melodic minor? Do we want a B flat so that we have S4, so that we're borrowing from the Dorian? A lot of different choices that we have that we can use. So you can go through each one of these. Generally speaking, 5 chords in minor, they're going to a minor source. So we're going to use the same minor chord scale that we use for secondary dominance. It's a 5, 7, flat 9, flat 13 is the chord scale we're mostly going to use. If we have 5 minor, then we're going to use Phrygian. That's how it would normally come out for us to use Phrygian for the 5 minor. 5 minor is, very dark sound, very unusual. For flat 6 major 7, we tend to use Lydian. The 6 minor 7 flat 5, again, minor 7 flat 5s, we tend to use Locrians. And for the 7 7, again, this would be the equivalent of the relative major keys 5 chord. We're going to use Mixolydian with S4. So that's a basic function for diatonic chord scales in minor. And we can go over this more in class, and please check out the assignment online. Thanks a lot. Take care.